really hope you like this video. Just subscribe, like, and click the bell to be notified of more content just like this. Delighted to welcome John Richardson from the Sunday Mirror, Charlie McCann, who's stuffing his face. I hope it cuts. Chomp louder, Charlie, so the Zoom call cuts to you. With he's stuffing his face with crisps. And we were chatting yesterday because the Masters. I mean, I love the Masters. And who have you fancied, Charlie? Or early days, who have you gone for?
I back three. The bookmaker's been so good with each way terms, 9 places. I think in a field where you have so many amateurs, and then you have people like Larry Mize and Sandy Lyle and things like that who can't possibly win. So I backed 3. I've backed head ruled my heart with heart ruled my head rather with Rory. But I mean, just that shot to 7 and then to miss the putt.
He can't putt. Can he? Poor Rory. Do you know what he should get a caddy who lines putts up for him. You know, if he could putt, he'd be 33 majors.
Extraordinary. And the other 2, Justin Thomas and Xander Schauffele. So both done well. But wouldn't it be great to see Paul Casey? But you know, it's hard to go wire to wire in any tournament. But
I tell you what, Lee Westwood, I'd say Lee Westwood. I mean, Casey, yes, but Lee Westwood. But at the same time, he's a magnet, Tiger. He played beautifully yesterday.
Absolutely fantastic.
I don't think he dropped a shot.
No, didn't drop a shot. Flawless. Absolutely flawless. And it's the swing. And I mean, you said in 2019, that was the Lazarus-like comeback. I mean, if he did it this time, I think he's not finished in the top 40, has he, so far?
But that was his best. That was his best opening round in his whole career in the Masters. But what he does now, and we'll talk about football in a minute, and Scotland, obviously. But
thank goodness, by the way.
Yeah, no, hang on, last one for you. What he does now, because of his age and because of his back, he actually swings within himself, which means that he used to spray it all over the place a little bit, didn't he? But now he looks amazing. Anyway,
well, I mean, he is the holder of it.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
I'd be surprised, I must say, if
yeah, absolutely. But
bombers didn't come through the field on what is likely to be soft greens, etc. And maybe, although they can heat them up, but we'll see. But it's early days, but fantastic. The greatest tournament. I mean, the Open when it's at St Andrews is fantastic as well. But when you think this is the one major where it's a common denominator, it's the Augusta every year where every hole. And I think every golf fan prefers the Masters with the best one in the world. And November Masters.
You finished, yeah?
John Richardson.
Sorry, John.
Yeah, John Richardson. Before we do anything else, we've got to say Bonnie Scotland. I've just seen a great tweet from Peter Crouch who said, "Look, I know you hate us, but I'm really pleased for you." Scotland in the Euros, and we'll play England.
I'm delighted for them because at least we've got somebody who can finish bottom of the group, which is fantastic.
Hey!
Now, to be fair, we talk on about does international football matter? Well, it certainly does today in Scotland, and it certainly does today in Northern Ireland, where, of course, they dramatically missed out. It's fantastic for the Jocks. 1998 was the last tournament they got to. The good thing is we won't hear about this for the next few days, will we? It'll be very north of the border. Now, joking apart, delighted for them. I love the rivalry. I've loved the England-Scotland rivalry. Hey, you could get more sales for the old book. Gaza, the celebration, Euro 96.
Yeah, not like you to be me, is it there? Any chance?
No, there's great rivalry between us. We've got a lot of Jock friends, haven't we? One of our best mates.
Say Jock. You're not allowed to say Jock. Scots.
Well, why not?
It's just not allowed to say anything like half or anything like that.
I'm sorry. Anyway, our Scottish friends, we've got lots of Scottish friends. The football rivalry is fantastic. I miss the home international championship. England-Scotland was great every year, either at Wembley or Hampden. Fantastic. And they've done very well. A story for David Marshall. You know, he's been in the.
He's a heck of a goalkeeper, by the way.
Yeah, he's been in Scotland ranks for years and years, sort of under the radar. Well, he's not under the radar now. I'm not joking. I'm delighted for them, and bring it on next summer.
They play. I mean, I don't know about you boys, but England Republic didn't get that much of my attention. I was flicking back. I was watching Scotland, and obviously Northern Ireland was incredibly dramatic. You feel so they must be absolutely gutted. They missed out to Slovakia last night. Charlie, I know you're a massive international football fan. Were you glued?
Well, I am a massive international. I'm not a massive international football fan of these meaningless friendlies. That's all. As you say, the England. I'm sorry to say, because I'm so selfish, I did have one eye more probably on the England game, because I'd backed England to win 2-0 against the Republic of Ireland. That was the only thing.
Me. Well, this is the me show.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I watched then when the England, but I mean, I'm sorry, I was watching the Masters as well. But what an extraordinary night of theatre in. And when David Marshall, I was thinking, why are you going to the referees if to say, "Oh, I moved"? Don't, you stupid man! Just go and celebrate.
Celebrate. Same with me. I was screaming.
Oh my God, David, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Oh God, but
hey, he did move, by the way.
Well, no, that's the problem. But he got away with it, and fantastic. And sorry, and for Scotland to have two of their games in Euro 2021 that will be at Hampden, and let's hope there's going to be crowds there. And then the middle one, of course, at Wembley. England have got a hell of a chance, and meaningless friendly, win home court advantage. But I'm sorry, it's just fantastic to have.
Cheers.
And
absolutely brilliant.
The players are bloody heroes as well.
Yeah,
they're fantastic. They're not going to score many goals. We know that. I'll tell you what, in a group that's got Croatia and the Czech Republic, who's to say they'll finish bottom? I don't think they will.
No, absolutely. It was an extraordinary performance. It's one of those. I like you guys. I'm David Marshall. I'm going. Just get on with it, mate. Just get on with it. Don't bring the referee's attention to it. But I just wonder, as a case in point, is if it had been a Serbian packed out stadium, how different it might have been. Or without question, it would have been a much more difficult challenge, wouldn't it? Simple as that.
You're spot on, Rob. One thing, that penalty would have been retaken.
Yeah.
Because it would have been bedlam. In fact,
but of course, arguably, if it would have been a packed out Serbian stadium, then it had to be two legs. So there'd have been a packed out.
You're right.
So it's fair to dwell on that. But for heroes and the passion in their voices afterwards, and I think everyone in football likes Steve Clarke as well, and
Stephen Reid as well. I've done an interview recently with Steve Reid. What a lovely fellow he is. A real thinking, a tremendously interesting take on football in general. But yeah, and Steve Clarke is brilliant. The two of them, well, the whole thing, fantastic. On a negative side, where you've got one eye on the England game, thinking your bet's going to come in, and Rico's got one eye on England-Scotland for his book. I've got one eye on international football for the players that I support, like Joe Gomez, who now, I mean, with Van Dijk out, Gomez is going to be out for a huge. Yep. And then watching the Netherlands against Spain, and I mean, it's not a serious injury, but Nathan Ake walks off after 5 minutes with a hamstring. Rico, I mean, it's not going to change, and I know Ollie's gone on about it, Jurgen Klopp and Pest, but at what point are we just flogging the footballers into the ground?
We are flogging them into the ground, but you can't blame that on international football, the Joe Gomez one. I mean, that was a training ground injury, wasn't it? Could have happened anywhere. You can argue it's because of a surfeit of football, probably is. There's too much football. We are flogging them, and there's going to be all these muscle injuries, etc., etc. But let's not blame international football. Let's blame the whole football calendar. It's just
Will it ever change? Will it change?
No, it won't, because it's selfishness. It's all about money. I mean, we've got, after the internationals, we've obviously got the Premier League weekend. Then we go into these meaningless qualifying games, in the Champions League. Now, there's far too many games, and they're talking about in a couple of years' time having even more. We're going to have a so-called European Super League as well as the Premier League. There's
and an expanded Club World Cup by the sounds of it as well.
There's just far too much football. Don't forget, we've knocked on about this a few weeks now, but you go back to the formation of the Premier League, it was supposed to be 18 clubs. And it was supposed to be 18 clubs to help international football. It was the FA Premier League. That's gone by the board now. It's selfish. It's all Premier League, blah, blah, blah. It's big money. The clubs talk about, we've got to play on a Saturday lunchtime after playing Wednesday night. Well, you can stop that. Because you can say to the TV companies, we don't agree with this, so we don't want as much money, but we want more say on when the games are being played. You can't have it both ways. If you're being paid millions and millions of pounds, then you've got to deliver when the TV companies want the games, I'm afraid. That is life. It's not good for football. I just think there should be less football, but it's like turkeys voting for Christmas. It's not going to happen.
Charlie, I know you had a wager on Manchester United to beat Everton. I'm not sure whether it was to 0 or not.
No.
It was what you were saying basically came true, didn't it?
Yeah, because we're not very good, and I was sick to the back teeth. People telling me that Alan was the greatest thing since sliced bread. That James Rodriguez was the greatest thing. That Decore was this box player. I'm watching the games every single, thinking, well, we got a bit lucky there. Calvert-Lewin is potentially, is top, still a bit raw, but a fabulous, Holgate coming back is a boost for the club, but he was poor. If Michael Keane is an international footballer, my bottom's a fire engine. We're not. With Gylfi, God love him, he scored, and then he got booked. I was thinking he couldn't get booked for Everton because he doesn't tackle anyone. But, I'm sorry for fans, they're out as well. They got beat by Hungary, but that's as good as we are. Don't kid yourself. The Newcastle game, the Southampton game, the Manchester United game, when we got a start against Manchester United, the first goal. Sorry, no, Calvert-Lewin scored at Newcastle. That's as good as we are, honestly. And I'm fed up. You don't get £25 million footballers who can take the Premier League apart at the age that Alan and Decore and Rodriguez are. Good players, of course they're good players, and they have improved Everton. No, that's as good as Everton are, and we are an okay team. And we gave them a go. But Manchester United have got a better squad, a better team, and. And Ole was, I'm pleased as well. I think like everybody else who is trying to be objective, Solskjaer's a good bloke. He's a really, really.
I totally agree. It was my next point to Rico. I mean, we talked before the game. It's the soap opera, isn't it? One week he's the best thing ever, the next he's not. I think there is a groundswell of opinion. Maybe, I don't know about Manchester United fans. Well, as you said last week, certainly they weren't wowed on Pochettino. But you kind of want Ollie to do well, don't you? Is there a sense where Ed Woodward's come out and backed him? I don't know what that means this week, Rico. Is there a change in scenario?
Well, no. I mean, this has bought him time, obviously. I think if they'd have lost at Everton, he'd have been in serious trouble. We've said before, it's a graveyard international time, where people sort of start thinking, well, we could make changes here. We can sort of do it, well, not Man United below the radar, but, usually you can just fit in a manager because there's other things going around it and there's not such a hue and cry. But yeah, he's bought himself time. I think media-wise, everybody loves Ollie. I mean, how can you not? So he has got the support generally of the media. They're not after him. But that is not the case with many Man United fans. I think they're divided. They see him as a hero, obviously. Nothing will ever take that away from him for what happened in 1999. But, he's got to deliver. And it's a cliche, it's a results-driven business, and he's got to continue, delivering results.
But talking of delivering, this is the first time that Bruno Fernandes has done well in a few weeks. He had the balls to leave out Pogba. To me, Bruno Fernandes and Aubameyang at Arsenal have been the two real disappointments.
I agree, Charlie. In fact, Bruno Fernandes gets on my nerves. He seems to think he's a sort of a Roy Keane figure, somebody that can lift the dressing room. I think it's all about him. I mean, he's a decent player, and he's played well. And I agree with you, Charlie. I don't think he's played very well in the last few weeks, but you wouldn't believe it by the way he goes around. He's the one that's, sort of trying to whip them up. And you've got to be Roy Keane, basically. That, and he's definitely not Roy Keane. And as for Paul Pogba, I rest my case.
Yeah. And can I just also mention Harry Maguire? In recent weeks, absolutely sensational. England again, absolute rock.
I agree, Charlie.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin, very, very good. And who knows the turmoils that, as far as we know, are still going through. Tremendous. And so pleased that he was the captain of England last night.
And scoring a goal. I mean, I don't know what's going on with his hair. It's a bit rich coming from me when my wife cuts my hair with the dog clippers. But I don't know what's going on with Harry's hair. Apart from that, I've got to say, talking of good blokes, you've got to be happy for Dean Smith, haven't you, at Aston Villa? And I was going to sort of talk about at this international juncture, who've been sort of signings of the season, who's been outstanding. But Ollie Watkins, Barkley, and that little tandem he's now got going with Jack Grealish. I mean, they were absolutely magnificent against Arsenal, regardless of what you think of Arsenal, Rico.
Now, I know you boys weren't glued to it last night, but who was the best player for England?
No, I did watch
Grealish.
that. And he's all over the place as well. He's all over the place.
Is there any chance of Gareth Southgate recognising that? Because, he's not a wide left player. He should be, just put him in the middle. He'd do everything.
He did a bit of that last night, in fairness, didn't he? He was picking the ball up all over the place.
He was, but he was, for me, he was too far on the left. Jack wants the ball all the time, which he obviously can't have it all the time. But just give him a free role in the centre midfield. Just let him roam, whatever. Don't keep him out on the left. But anyway, the point being, and I think we all agree, we're all Jack Grealish fans. You build your side around him. He's got everything. He's got everything. He's the nearest for me to Paul Gascoigne. He's not Paul Gascoigne, but he's the closest. He can go past players. He's got a pass. He can score goals. He's just absolutely tremendous. And to be fair, he worked well with Mason Mount. I thought Mason Mount had a very good game. Harry Winks, for once, wasn't too bad, but I share Charlie's view that he's not international class for me. But Jack Grealish is, and back to your original question, whereas he's got a good relationship with Mason Mount internationally, got a fantastic relationship with Ross Barkley. I think Ross Barkley has been one of the signings of the season. He's on loan. The trouble is, of course, his price is going to go up and up because he's doing so well for Villa. But Dean Smith put his arm around him and he's producing. So, yeah, Dean Smith, I'm delighted. The big difference is with Dean Smith that this summer he's been allowed to bring in who he wanted and not what the previous director of football wanted, who's no longer there. So this is more his side. He fought to get Ollie Watkins in. He fought to get Ross Barkley there. He's reaping the rewards.
They're good to watch. I mean, you do love, Charlie, that it's almost, I mean, you look at sort of partnerships we've talked about, but you do look at Grealish with Barkley and Barkley with Grealish, and they're almost sort of like on, hey, not we're better than everybody else, but yet at the moment probably are.
Yeah. I sorry, I have to get back to, it wasn't that long ago that they got toused by Leicester City at home. This. I know they put 7 past.
Yeah, I accept that. Yeah.
It's the Arsenal team. You've got to remember, we're talking about the Europa League. I think only 3 of them played on the team on Sunday that played. And I've got to put my hand up. I waxed lyrical about Arsenal at Manchester United. I thought that was a good performance and I thought that was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. And you know, I was laughing at how Arsenal and their supporters were so loyal to Wenger when it was obviously gone at the game 3 years ago. 3 years before he left, but that was as bad a performance by Arsenal, coming on top of what I thought was a good win at Manchester United. I mean, I'm sorry, there are some players in that team, you know, and I don't really get Thomas Partey either. Everybody in the solar system says, oh, they're going to miss him. Well, what did he do in the first half? I'm sorry, I didn't think he was very good. I know he's got an injury, but I still, you know, any side that, you know, I think the centre half is good. I think the central defender, rather, I do like Tierney. I've always liked Tierney. There is still a nucleus, but that wasn't a bad performance. That was pitiful for Arsenal Football Club. That's just not good enough.
Well, sorry, Charlie. I was going to say.
No, I'm just saying his record is now worse, of course, than
that's what I was going to say.
Previous managers.
Yeah,
but he's won in the FA Cup and a Community Shield.
His record is worse than Unai Emery's. You know, comparison.
Rico, can I ask you? I mean, Leicester obviously they've had injuries, they've got injuries, but they're top dogs at the moment. Have you seen enough of Wesley Fofana to perform? I'm watching him and I'm just going. Now it might have been injury. Well, they paid a lot of money for him, and he probably would have played. But my word, he looks a player, doesn't he?
I did my research on him because there was a few clubs after him as well as Leicester. You know, playing for Saint Etienne. And he just thought, yeah, he's not bad, this lad, but he's only 19. You know, it's a lot of money to pay for a 19-year-old, but already he looks the real deal. I mean, he's so comfortable on the ball. He's a good defender. He brings the ball out well. It's a fantastic signing. I mean, we keep on saying, can somebody do a Leicester City? Well, can Leicester City not do a Leicester? You know, I think you've got to keep Jamie Vardy fit. I think he's so important to that team. But it's a good all-round team. It just probably needs strengthening up front in January, you know, because if Vardy's injured, I don't think they're quite, well, it's definitely not the same team up front. And, you know, you got Harvey Barnes, who's playing well. They're a good side and fantastic to watch.
And they've got injuries, but at the same time as well, like Harvey Barnes, he can't get in the side, but you know, it's James Maddison and Harvey, but they have got amazing strength in depth. But they've got a really good squad. They are terrific players.
Yeah, also got a fantastic goalkeeper.
Brilliant goalkeeper.
They're good all round. I do think Jamie Vardy does help make that team tick, though. Sure. You know, 33, he can't go on forever, but keep him fit. They've got a chance.
Two young defenders who've impressed me so far this season have been Justin at Leicester City and Tariq Lamptey at Brighton. I think you know, Fofana agreed totally, but Justin is what, you know, Brendan Rodgers plays him every game, whether he plays him in three of a central defence or whether he plays him as a wing back or whatever. He can play left back. Remember, he played left.
Yes.
Season he scored a goal away from home. I remember. He is somebody who is under the radar, but he is. I think into Brendan Rodgers, he'd rate him. And Lamptey, sorry for me, is you know, and at Chelsea, they've got, I suppose they've got Reece James, Azpilicueta, and everything. But you know, sorry, Tariq Lamptey's hell of a player.
And also, they're talking about Rico. We're talking back to international football to an extent. It's suddenly Patrick Bamford's got a mention. Obviously, Ollie Watkins has got a mention. I mean, Patrick's armpit was obviously the centre of attention last week. It doesn't go away, does it? I mean, Max Kilman as well. I mean, the Wolves penalty. Even I have to say, even Joe Gomez's penalty for Manchester City. I mean, we are a little bit back to that again, aren't we?
The Patrick Bamford incident. We've had some bad ones this season, but
that's it.
I mean, you had to laugh in the end. I mean, it was so stupid. I mean, the lad's just pointing where the ball's going to go. That's all he's doing. And this is just absolutely ridiculous. You just don't know what they get up to down there. I mean, I don't know, at least smoking weed or something. I don't know what's going on. You know,
allegedly we'll do on this show. We're obviously not doing that at all. Maybe ordering pizzas or something like that. Definitely not doing that. Obviously.
Well, maybe they should.
Obviously, no way.
Well, maybe they should. No, it's ridiculous.
Okay. Listen, what are you doing? Have you got a game tomorrow, Rico? And that's what I wanted to talk about. Come on, tell us about Ryan Reynolds and Wrexham.
Yeah, well, as you know, I'm a Chester fan, but I'm delighted for Wrexham. Absolutely delighted for them. They're moving in the right direction. These two Hollywood lads seem genuine. They're prepared to put £2 million in straight away. But as you know, it's a fan run. It's got a fan trust. It's fan led. So they are currently voting. And they need 75% to hand it over. That is a given. The result will be announced on Sunday or Monday, and full steam ahead. And what's good about these lads? They've done the research. They all know about Dixie McNeil. They all know about Joey Jones. They all know about Mickey Thomas. They want them all involved. It's exciting times ahead because, as we all know, Wrexham have been out the Football League since 2008. But back, I can remember the 70s, 80s, getting 20,000 there, when they were in the old second division. So the potential is enormous for a club like Wrexham. Of course, North Wales is in the news at the moment. I'm celebrity, get me out of here. Well, these are celebrities. Get them in there,
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. I mean, Wrexham, very, very dear to my heart. Been great friends with Mickey and Joey Jones, of course. Charlie, what? So, what are you doing this weekend? Are you masters and racing? Have you got a tip for us? Anything that you really fancy? I know we're over the jumps and everything now.
Oh, I have, mate. Yeah. It's in the big one. It's the Paddy Power Gold Cup. Is the big race. Happy Diva won it 12 months ago. I remember. Sorry, sort of name dropping, but I was ghostwriting a column for Michael Owen at the time, and I told Michael tipped this up, shall we say, Happy Diva to win. He had no idea. Michael's a flat racing man. He's not a jumps man. So I think she's £8 worse off. She's £8 higher in the weights. I think she's around about 12 to 1. You can get 6 places each way. Happy Diva, and there's a horse called Hell Red in the first. Even money. It's even money. I think it's almost as good a bet as Manchester United to beat Everton last week. Unfortunately, well, that one copped. Let's hope Hell Red in the opener, the juvenile hurdle at Cheltenham tomorrow. Paddy Power, Happy Diva, won it 12 months ago. Is £6 better off for the length and 3/4 she was behind Simply the Bets at the Cheltenham Festival. I think she can reverse the form. Hell Red the now of the weekend. And Justin Thomas. Let's hope JT can get a second major to his name.
Charlie, thanks a lot. Rico, brilliant,
hey guys.
As always.
Have a lovely weekend.
Fellas.
Apologies to the jocks.
See you, fellas.
Yeah.